alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is such a pleasure to be here alongside so many friends and so many for whom today is the first time I'm having the opportunity to meet you. And this is the first Jum'ah that I have been to since we won our election on Tuesday.
So just 24 hours before the Mamdani administration officially takes office in New York City, God help us all, he's apparently just announced the nomination of a literal Al-Qaeda defender to be the top lawyer of New York City. And you're probably hearing that and thinking to yourself, there's no way that could possibly be real. But indeed, it is. Today, the nomination was announced of a guy by the name of Ramzi Kassem as the chief counsel of New York City. This is a man who poses himself as a quote-unquote social justice lawyer, self-proclaimed, but apparently who had returned to America from the Middle East in 2001 with the sole primary purpose of going back to America in order to defend in court the legal rights of an Al-Qaeda terrorist, and you'll notice that is a pretty common theme throughout his career. So I'm sure this is going to go so fantastically. Surely this will not have any impact on the criminal justice policies of the city, but after all, this is what we tried to warn you about, right? You know, all these naive people are going to say, oh, we like Mamdani because he cares about affordability, even though he's going to make all of those issues worse. But I constantly tried to note, it's not just about the socialist grocery stores. Arguably, the far greater threat, actually, of his mayorship is going to be the utter chaos, anarchy, and nightmare he unleashes as a result of these crime policies, right? He's basically openly stated he wants to empty Rikers Island, reduce the prison population by half. He says he wants to redefine the definition of what a violent crime is. All of these ideas that have been tried in many liberal cities. Some liberal cities are even walking them back because they realize, this is really bad. We just keep freeing criminals. And Mamdani's saying, no, indeed, let's double down on it. And now you basically have an Islamist in power as the, top lawyer of the city. How do you think that's going to end? Yeah. We'll talk about it here today, guys, though. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Greatly appreciate the support here. And, well, that said, take a listen here, I guess, to the announcement, first and foremost, of the wonderful individual that apparently has been appointed as chief counsel of New York City.
I am delighted to announce that I am naming Ramzi Kassem as chief counsel. Ramzi will be joining the administration from CUNY, where he serves as a professor of law. Government service is no novel concept for Ramzi, who served as a senior policy advisor for President Biden from 2022 to 2024, and has deep experience arguing in court, including before the Supreme Court. I will turn to Ramzi for his remarkable experience and his commitment to defending those too often abandoned by our legal system. City Hall will be stronger with him in it, and our work of building a more prosperous city for all will have a powerful advocate. My sincere hope is that New Yorkers who have long felt on the margins of this city, the homeless veteran straining to survive, the patient searching for the care that they need, an immigrant trying to get by, will feel that they now have leaders in their corner who understand their struggles and care to fight for them. That is the city I want to build, the prosperity I intend to deliver, and the leadership that has too long been lacking. Thank you.
Yeah, well, hopefully by now everyone is full familiar with the fact that when Zohran Mamdani uses this populist rhetoric about the so-called marginalized or forgotten people of New York City, he's not speaking about who you would maybe have in mind, right? Say the single mother, the, small business owner who's struggling to get by, maybe being priced out of the city. No, we know exactly that refers to the criminals, the third world fraudsters, the jihadis, the terrorists, and this is not exactly something that Mamdani ever made much of a secret out of if you just listen to him very carefully. What did I say all year about the crime policy? It's very real.
The jail population of Rikers has increased since Eric Adams has come into office by more than 1,000 additional incarcerated New Yorkers. And what is quite staggering to me is that we know that we can reduce that jail population to less than 4,000. Vital City had an article about a number of different proposals that could reduce it to 3,700. And some of this also just has to look at the average stay on Rikers in the 90s was 50 days. Now it's more than 100. There are more than 1,500 people on Rikers who have been held there for more than a year. So I do think many of the reforms that have to be made are also reforms around the court system.
Yeah, well, guys, this is not actually a big mystery as to what's going to happen next. So you have Alvin Bragg, district attorney of the city, now a jihadi Islamist defender who we'll read his bio in a second. You'll understand where this guy stands, okay? As the chief legal counsel of the city. It's going to be very simple. It's actually going to, frankly, probably look like living in the UK, where criminals who are not white, as long as they're not white, right? Criminals of color, COCs we'll call them, will be let out of jail time and time again because that would be white supremacists to punish people for committing crimes. But simultaneously, imagine the amount of now so-called, right, Islamophobic hate crimes that are going to be pursued. Hey, were you Islamophobic today? Did you read his legal attorney's bio accurately? You're going to jail, buddy. I mean, I don't think that's actually much of a stretch, because here is the explanation from Fox News as to who this Ramzi Kassem character is. Socialist New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani announced on Tuesday that he is appointing a controversial lawyer Ramzi Kassem, who defended al-Qaeda terrorist Ahmed al-Darbi in court, as the city's top attorney. Now, I'm sure some people will just sit there and say, well, I mean, understanding how the legal system works, sure, everyone is entitled to the right to an attorney, even a terrorist, so maybe he was just doing the public defender thing. No, but as you'll find out, this is something he's dedicated his entire life to, is trying to basically free terrorists from prison. You'll find out why. Mamdani, who will take office on January 1st, has announced he was appointing Kassem as the chief counsel, the top legal role in the city. Wow, what a disaster this is going to be. He also announced he is appointing Stephen Banks, a self-proclaimed social justice attorney, as corporation counsel. Oh, you know, it gets even better. We have the jihad attorney, we have the social justice attorney, and Helen Ortega as deputy mayor for Health and Human Services. Kassem's record includes serving as a senior policy advisor for immigration on the White House Domestic Policy Council under President Joe Biden. No, so we just have a wonderful person here. He handled immigration under Biden. He's defending al-Qaeda terrorists in court, and now he's going to be in charge of the very city that got hit by 9/11. Fantastic, guys. Kassem also served as lead counsel in al-Darbi's defense. In 2014, al-Darbi pled guilty before a U.S. military commission to conspiracy in connection with an al-Qaeda terrorist plot to bomb a French oil tanker off the coast of Yemen. One civilian was killed in the attack and several others were injured. He was convicted of the crime in 2017 and was transferred by the Trump administration in 2018 to Saudi Arabia's custody. But it gets worse. Take a look at what he had to say about his work in doing legal defense for the terrorists. Quote, "While it may not make him whole, my hope is that repatriation at least marks the end of injustice for Ahmed." Oh, injustice. It might not make him whole. We want to make his heart happy. Talking about a terrorist here. Adding that he had, quote, 16 long and painful years in captivity. Oh no, I mean, that's just so terrible. Worth noting as well, Kassem is also the individual who represented the Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil, right? The guy that the Trump administration was trying to deport for his role in the Palestine riots. So just what a lovely track record, right? He's just taken all the right side of all the right issues. Utterly insane. But folks, you may have heard as well, it doesn't stop there. You know, personnel is policy at the end of the day, and Mamdani's making it very clear that maybe little attempts to reunify or moderate after the election are simply non-existent. Worth noting as well, just about a week ago, he further appointed a lesbian to be the fire commissioner who had no experience actually being a firefighter. Yeah, that's correct. Because, by the way, that went so fantastically in Los Angeles, right? The whole lesbian fire chief idea. Take a listen.
Or EMS-related runs. I think what I bring is something that can unite our department and make us function at the highest level of professionalism, because, quite honestly, they do that already. They're wonderful people who put their lives on the line for everyday people.
And the second question regarding the
yeah, sure. I think there's a lot that needs to be done. First, we need to be at our best at all times. In order to do that, we have to look at our infrastructure and try to make improvements there. We're over 150 years old as a department, I believe 157 years old. So, you know, a lot of our infrastructure is also very old.
Well, this is just going to go so fantastically. And of course, if you criticize the work of any of these individuals, if you say the fire chief seems to be highly incompetent, they're going to call you homophobic. If you criticize the chief legal counsel for letting terrorists and criminals run over New York City, same thing, Islamophobic. Although, maybe to a degree, you know, I almost have this theory as of late that leftists do the DEI thing on purpose because regardless, their entire agenda is to basically destroy civilization. But, you know, if you create a social construct where it's like, hey, you know, you're not allowed to notice that we're destroying civilization. You can't criticize because, oh, they're black, oh, they're lesbian, oh, they're this. I mean, that almost makes it easier, doesn't it? But that said, I just want to finish off the year by stating that. Once again, none of this should be surprising because Mamdani told you exactly who he was on the campaign trail, as did millions of migrants who came into this country via the open border, and it goes on. And that's exactly why I would just like to close the year by playing the snake poem perhaps one more time, because I think it is maybe the most relevant explanation of leftism perhaps ever. So let's just do that.
So let's dedicate this to General Kelly, the Border Patrol, and the ICE agents for doing such an incredible job. Right? This was written by Al Wilson a long time ago. And I thought of it having to do with our borders and people coming in. And we know what we're going to have. We're going to have problems. We have to very, very carefully vet. We have to be smart. We have to be vigilant. So here it is, the snake. It's called The Snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you." The border. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I have saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in."
Yeah, well, certainly, if you ask me, that's the poem of the year, maybe of the millennia, frankly, because every major news story you can think of out of 2025, whether it's the, say, election of Zohran Mamdani, what'd you expect to happen? Or the Somali fraud scandal, right? When you imported a bunch of people from a place that has quite literally always been a failed, horrible nation for all of human history, you know, apparently incapable of building functional civilization. Why did you expect it to suddenly be functional, you know? Even the assassination of Charlie Kirk as another example. When you allowed a bunch of mentally ill, violent, radical communists to become the mainstream base of the Democrat Party, what did you expect to happen? Some type of return to moderate politics? Absolutely not, right? So I guess that's a New Year's resolution for America. Stop taking the snakes into your house. Obviously, immigration is maybe the most pertinent example of it, but I think of other reasons, right? I think of other areas too. Arena Zarutska and many different crime stories, primarily which happened on subways, but not even exclusively there, where the same 72-time repeat offender, the snake who told you he was a snake, 72 times by the way, then the people are shocked. Oh, why are there stabbings? Why are there shootings? Why is this person getting lit on fire on a subway train? It's actually quite simple. Okay, it's quite simple. So, just some thoughts I have there. But anyways, that said, let me know yours in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, God bless, Happy New Year, and peace.